Mic Drop Moments is sponsored by Grow Radio. Want to launch your own podcast? Grow Radio are here to help. Grow Radio has launched and supported countless podcasts, and they'd love to do the same for you. Just hit record and they'll handle the rest. No editing stress, no technical faff, just a great podcast released when you want. Need a little extra support? Grow Radio's workshops and courses make getting started easy. Let's bring your podcast to life. Message Grow Radio on social media or reach out to Gary Jones, the founder of Grow Radio. Let's make this happen. Welcome to Mic Drop Moments, and today I'm chatting with Tara Askham, and I'm going to ask you, Tara, to introduce yourself to the audience and tell us exactly what you do.
Hi, Sandra. Thank you for having me. My name's Tara Askham, and I'm on a mission to empower business owners to understand their numbers and improve their profits and take home more of what they earn because we work too hard not to take home more of what we earn.
Oh gosh, we all need so much more of that. I'm going to briefly ask you to tell us about the other things that you do, but we're going to focus on the numbers today. Just tell us, because you're an amazing lady and you do so much outside of your day-to-day business. Tell us about some of the other things you're involved in as well.
I work with awarding bodies, so I act as a consultant, writing, reviewing exam material and qualifications. I inspect colleges for awarding bodies and chief examiner. I'm on the NatWest funding panel, so they have a charity. So for the past 4 years, I've been assessing funding applications. I volunteer with FSB in Nottingham, Unlimited and Santander, and help to grow as a mentor as well. And then more recently, I've been appointed as a steering committee member on the Maple Review, which is a government initiative to look at how we can get more people from areas of deprivation into entrepreneurship. And Xero's financial confidence Taskforce as well, which is really closely aligned to my mission of helping people understand their numbers.
Okay, do you ever sleep?
I'm not sure actually when I said all of that.
And you, yeah, you do so much, Tara, but this know your numbers thing, I know you're totally passionate about. And I think it's a really important topic to bring to my audience because I've been at the wrong end of this and it's not great. My first business, I remember I got to 3 months and I hadn't got enough cash to pay the staff. And that was because I didn't understand cash flow. I
Yeah.
didn't understand my numbers. That was something the accountant did. And more recently, I've learned to love my numbers a little. I still can't understand a balance sheet, but yeah, I know what I need to
Oh,
know.
you need to call my course for the balance sheet then, Sandra.
Yeah, yeah. But I know what I need to know for now, and obviously need to know more. But it's becoming more evident the more people I meet that people simply are either number blind, have
Yeah,
no interest because it sounds boring, or believe because they've got a bookkeeper or accountant, they don't need to know their numbers. And that
yeah.
comes through in a lot of ways. So, what's your backstory? How did you get into loving numbers?
Do you remember the Blue Peter appeal? Not sure if everyone will remember that that's listening.
Yeah.
But the packs, the charity packs. So when I was a teenager, I remember applying for that, thinking, oh, we can sell some hot dogs for charity and make some money. And I think that's sort of how I ended up enjoying like the businessy sort of numbers side of things. But then I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I left school. So I just did an apprenticeship, in business admin, and then went to work at a hotel and did another customer services apprenticeship. Um, and then got fed up of working shifts. So I was like, oh, I need to find something 9 till 5. And I went into an admin role and then they promoted me to accountant. It's like, oh, actually, I quite enjoy this. So I started then doing evening classes. So I was working full time, studying in the evening. Then I found out I was pregnant and then I carried on doing my accounting qualification at the same time as working. And I think when I was then working in accounting, but then I applied to an advert to teach an evening class, which I'm not even sure why I did that because I didn't, that was not part of the plan. I went along, observed the person, and she was like, I'm leaving next week. You can take over this class. And it was probably the most scariest thing I've ever done. But you know, the pressure of having to explain something in a way so that people can actually pass an exam because you're responsible for that. So this was at college, so 16 plus, and there was a lot of adults in there. It really made me understand that actually how you explain things and relate it to real life could be the difference between somebody, succeeding or not succeeding. And I think that was sort of the light bulb moment for me.
Yeah. Wow. Um, no, nothing like putting you under pressure, turn up for a class one evening and then suddenly you're up front and teaching it the following week.
I
So,
know.
and
And I did it.
sometimes you need that pressure actually to put you out your comfort zone and say, well, actually, yeah, I can do this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I was doing that at the same time as while working. And then I did my teacher training in the evenings as well. So it's just like, it seems like a whole lifetime of studying, to be honest, but it's been worth
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So it's not that you've just picked something out the air one day and say, I'm going to teach people how to understand their numbers. You have actually done the qualifications, the training, you've done this stuff, you know it from inside out. And
Yeah.
that's valuable that you've got that credibility piece behind you.
Yeah, living and breathing it. I think also with the consulting to awarding bodies as well. Again, it's how you sort of explain things. It's making sure that people are getting the right sort of qualification for what they need to do and to be able to work succinctly and, you know, competently in a job role, whatever level that might be.
Yeah, yeah. So, let's talk about numbers scarily. But I gave you the example, I was 3 months into business, had a business plan, everything. I thought I knew it all, but knew nothing. So, what's the biggest mistakes that you see business owners making with their numbers?
I think the biggest one is that people think that the profit is the same as cash. And the way that I always explain it is, let's say that we had the best day ever, and let's say we've just invoiced £10,000 worth of sales, and let's just imagine that we've got no costs, so £10,000 worth of profit. If that customer never pays us, then we've got no business. So you can have businesses that are really profitable, but they can fail because they're not getting the cash in. And I think that's sort of the key thing that comes up each time.
And that's what got me. We built the business initially on invoices that went out, but hadn't
Yeah.
realized that it takes some people. We had one client that refused to pay anything other than 90 days. And,
Oh
when you're a
God.
small business and you've got a big organization that will only pay you on 90 days, that is their terms.
Yeah.
I mean, there's bigger protections in place, but, still some local authorities are a bit slow. Um, but you do need to account for that. You do need to cash in the bank is very different to projected cash forecast from your invoices, which is why I love it when people just buy stuff. If you go into a shop and you see a piece of clothing you want, a dress, and you think, wow, I'd love that. You wouldn't go in, take the dress and say, invoice me, I'll pay you in 30 days.
Yeah, when I've worn it a few times.
Yeah. You take the dress and you pay for
Yeah.
it, you know, at the till point, or if you order something off the internet, you pay for it when you buy it. So it's great if you've got a business based on pay when at the time of purchase. But
Yeah.
many service-based businesses don't, and they invoice. And I think
Mm.
that's where the difficulties come.
I think a lot of people as well don't realize, or we always have the conversations around this because I deliver corporate training as well, is that you can use some wording from HMRC website that says actually if you don't pay within the agreed time frame, we reserve the right to charge interest. Whether
Yeah.
or not the companies will pay that interest is another sort of conversation, but there are things that, business, the HMRC and we're trying to do to make it easier for smaller businesses.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not always that easy, is it?
It's not, and was it the commercial late payment interest as well? I've put that
Yeah.
on my terms before, and yeah, it does. I throw it at people and say I do reserve the right to charge interest, and
Yeah.
it's amazing actually. They pay it quite quickly then.
It
Uh,
usually has that effect. If
yeah,
you've put
yeah,
that, if you've instilled that from the beginning, so that it's not like you've just changed part way through, if that makes
yeah,
sense, then
yeah,
actually you've probably got more of a chance of succeeding with that and getting people to pay on time.
yeah, yeah. So, what other mistakes are you seeing? Why are people so? Not this year because I haven't read that detail yet, but previous years when people have entered my awards
Mm,
and we ask for the financials, and we only ask for the financials not because we're nosy, it's we need to see where they are in their business to be able to judge effectively for my judging panel to do the judging. And so many entrants in previous years were putting, I'm number blind, or I don't know, my accountant does that for me, or I improve year on year. But that was a favourite, or I'm growing 10% each year. 10% of
mm.
what? 10% zero is zero, isn't it?
Yeah,
But do you see what I mean? People almost don't want to talk about their figures or they don't know.
Yeah, I think there's two things there. There's the one thing that I think people have this misconception, and not all the time, that accountants will be sorting it out for them. But unless you've paid for like monthly management accounts or quarterly management accounts, you're not going to get that. What you get from an accountant is compliance. And some accountants are offering sort of more strategic advice, which is great. Find those accountants and work with them. But the other side of that is often people don't understand the difference between their turnover and their net profit. And there was what's his name? Richard Branson was being interviewed by Stephen Bartlett, and he was saying it wasn't till he was in his 50s that he knew the difference between the gross profit and the net profit. And then he was able to make better decisions or ask better questions as a result of that. And it comes back down to the barrier of all of the jargon. And that's why, when I'm delivering training, I use real life examples, easy to understand, sometimes around food. I've got a sweet tooth to, bring things to life in terms of, this is what it means, and step by step and how that impacts. And then how does that impact on your business? Let's go and find these numbers. Let's break it down and let's start to look at margins as an example so we can actually see what's happening month on month and whether you are growing year on year, that type of thing.
Yeah, and that number blindness, not knowing the difference between, revenue. So many people say I'm a six-figure business, seven-figure business.
Yeah.
It means nothing. And they do say, what is it? Can't remember the vanity sanity one,
Oh,
profit
yeah, it's cash
sanity.
that's reality.
Yeah. So if somebody is totally basing their figures on revenue, but they don't understand the gross profit, net profit, they
Mm.
could be running at a loss.
Oh,
Basically,
absolutely.
if their outgoings are higher than what's coming in the door, they are operating at a loss.
And I don't know about you, I think sometimes we're all guilty of it. We set up in business because we're desperate for it to succeed. And sometimes I know I've done it when I've been trying to, cost things out. And actually, if I worked out how much time I spent on a particular piece of work, I was probably working at below minimum wage. But what we need to do is get business owners to understand what are the fixed costs they've got to pay consistently, irrespective of whether they're making any sales or not. And then look at what are the variable costs and what changes in relation to the sales that we're making. And then we can work out what's the break-even point. So how many products or how many hours do you need to sell to be at that point where you've broken even? And then anything after that is you're making some profits and you can sort of
Yeah.
breathe a bit, but we've got to look at the cash position and make sure we're not giving too much on credit. But again, it just comes back to having those conversations and feeling confident, isn't it, with the terminology?
Yeah, and I think it's looking at the figures as well, looking at past years and learning from past years to
Yeah,
forecast future years. So if you've got peaks and troughs and
yeah,
you know when that's going to be, I know my inbox goes quiet in July and it goes quiet in December.
yeah,
And it's knowing it probably goes quiet for a few weeks over Easter because most of my clients have got children, grandchildren, or they tend to take school holidays off or go quiet. And I think because I know those peaks and troughs and when they occur,
yeah.
it, it's not linear, is it? Income
No.
it fluctuates, and I think you have to be able to understand that as well.
And I think, getting into the habit of when you receive payment for an invoice or, whatever it is you're offering in your business, getting into the habit of moving some of that money out, between 10 and 20% maybe into a separate pot. So then, you're covering tax, but you may also want to pay into a pension or you've got a bit of a buffer for, like say when there are times of the year that are quieter than other times of years.
Yeah, yeah, great advice that. Let's talk about the dreaded VAT. Okay. So many of my clients say to me, "Oh, I'm just trying to keep myself just underneath the VAT threshold so I don't
Mm,
have to charge VAT." And then I've got other clients that say, "Learn to love your tax because the
yep,
more tax you pay, the better you're doing."
yep.
So what's your take on that?
Um, if you're coming up to that VAT threshold, then why wouldn't you sort of register? Because you are, you've got to be earning at least 90,000 to be registering for that. So that's successful, I would say. Um, and yes, there's more admin required with it, but the use of different software now will help you be much more compliant with like making tax digital. So I think, as you grow, embrace it because what that then means is you need to get into the habit of keeping accurate records and keeping your receipts, but things that you're purchasing, you can then reclaim the VAT. So why would you not do that to then offset it against the VAT that, you're adding on to your customer invoices?
Yeah, and when you are paying out, most of the things I purchase have got huge VAT, both with venues
Yeah.
and suppliers. And I actually worked it out one year, and I thought if I wasn't VAT registered, what's the position I would be in right now? And there was
Mm,
a huge difference actually. So it's actually better for me to be VAT registered. Um,
yeah.
and to maybe, I know it's extra work. But the software is fairly good today, and it's fairly,
Oh, it is,
yeah,
absolutely. There's
yeah,
different types as well that you can use.
yeah, yeah. So, what's on the horizon, Tara? I know you're doing some fantastic workshops and things. So, what could somebody expect that maybe is listening to this and thinking, "Oh my God, I don't know anything about my numbers. I want to understand them more." And you're running an event in London over 2 days. What type of things would they expect to find at that event?
So when I did the pilot, I was very conscious of wanting to sort of understand in more detail what business owners want. And for the new course that I'm launching, you're going to get um, an understanding of what are the financial statements, what do they mean, why are they so important, and then looking at doing some ratios and calculations based on your numbers so that you understand them. And if you haven't got that data or you're struggling to access it, we're going to help you to get that, whether that's from a spreadsheet or from your accounting software, whether you've got to ask your accountant for some of the information. So part of the day is focused on the financial statements and then doing a few ratios. So just a few that's going to help you make better decisions. And then we want to give you some tips. So money saving questions to ask your accountant. And I've got that as a free lead magnet as well that anybody can download. Because if we can just ask the right questions, then actually we could save ourselves money. And then the other side of it is holding ourselves accountable, actually putting a budget together. So, what is the plan for the next 12 months? And then we're going to look at the cash flow as well, because we've noticed, there's a stat, it doesn't tend to alter that much. 82% of businesses fail because they've not managed cash flow effectively. So, with the cash flow, we're focusing on the timings and we're working with you to put that together from your live data. And again, if you need support with the software, we can do that live during the session. And with the face-to-face one, you get follow-up support on Zoom as well for a set period of
Wow.
time. Not Zoom, sorry, on WhatsApp, so you get that follow-up support. We don't just leave you to it, which is another thing I think that just frustrates me about other courses I've been on. It's great learning something, but I think sometimes you need that hand-holding after when you've had chance to absorb the
It's,
information
yeah,
and
the
test it with your own
implementation.
business.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you need to be able to know you're implementing in the right way. And I think it sounds amazing, Tara, the fact that people can actually come and work on live data. And I
yeah,
think, with the software that it is today, you've got Xero, you've got QuickBooks, you've got Free Agent, you've got all the
yeah.
software. What would you say to people that are still running their business on a spreadsheet?
Oh, you're making life difficult for yourself. I know spreadsheets can be great because, particularly with some of the software, cash flow, you usually end up doing it on a spreadsheet because it is easier. But for the rest of the stuff and being compliant and tax returns, that type of thing, it's just so much easier. So with software, you can then capture your receipts and automatically upload them. You can automatically link it to your bank account. So it's automatically reconciling. It gives you live data very easy at the click of a button as to how much is outstanding from certain customers, whether you're more reliant maybe on one particular customer and whether that puts you at risk. So again, there's all these different key things that you can sort of pick up to help you make better decisions. So don't be afraid of the software. It is really easy to use.
Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, yes, I remember very first when I was had my solicitor's practice, we had to have proper software because of holding monies in client account and things
Yeah,
like that. But I know other bit when I started my next business, I thought, oh, I'll just do it on a spreadsheet. Oh my God. I very quickly decided
yeah.
that wasn't going to be a way to run a business. Because once you've had software to take it away, you think, oh God, no, I can't do this. And it's so much better, especially when you're doing your bank reconciliations and things like that. It's just so much more effective.
Much quicker as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So much quicker.
So at the time of recording this,
Yeah.
you are about to go to India. Just tell us what you're going to India to do.
So we are taking part in the Sisterhood Rickshaw Rally with 50 other business women. So we fly out to Chennai next week, and it's going to be 1,200 kilometers in a tuk-tuk across India. We finish at Goa. in Goa on International Women's Day, and it's to raise money for women and children because they don't have access to education, they don't have access to sanitary products. Women, when they give birth, don't have that postnatal support as well. And we're going to get to see as well the direct work that is taking place as a result of the fundraising that's been happening over the past few years. So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
And I've just got visions of you in a tuk-tuk with somebody on a bicycle in front of it. Oh, are these motorized tuk-tuks?
Yes, they are, but they don't, you can't tell how much petrol is in there. So you've got to sort of gauge it. And I watched the documentary from the ladies that went last year. So that was the first year that they'd done that route. Yeah, so that's going to be a bit of a learning curve. We have a driving lesson on day one. So I've got my international driving license as well, and there's three of us to a tuk-tuk. We do get, I think, a phone provided so that if it breaks down, there's going to be somebody within an hour of us to come and help us.
So it's like their version of the AA with a can of
Yes,
petrol. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Brilliant. So you'll be,
Hopefully.
is it a race? Are you racing against each other? Or...
No, it's not. It's not so much racing against each other. It's, I believe that it's going to be, we're going to, stop off. We can communicate with each other. It might be that we stop off at different places along the way, but we have a set amount of miles or kilometers that we need to do each day because it is quite a trek. And I think one of the days through, I think it might be Bangalore, the traffic looks horrendous. So I'm opting not to drive that day.
I love the way you're opting out of something.
Yeah,
I've heard from people that have done it before that they've had an amazing experience and
yeah,
also they've made fantastic business connections as well. So
yeah.
it sounds as though we can't wait to hear about it when you return. In fact, by the time this is aired, you will have returned and we will know. So we'll try and put something in the show notes and
Oh,
how
thank
you
you.
did. It's been fantastic chatting to you, Tara, and I always ask my guests to leave the audience with a piece of wisdom, a mic drop moment, something that makes you want to share with the audience. What would yours be?
Mine would be just to go through what you're paying out in your business and check whether you actually need to pay all of those subscriptions and also check whether any of them are on auto renew and actually download my money saving questions to ask your accountant because if you do nothing else, just ask your accountant the questions that I've listed on that document to help you get better information.
And we'll pop the link for that in the show notes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. It's been great chatting to you.
Oh, and you. Thank you for having me.